Hey,
Well,
it still says off air.
no, it's live. Hello.
That's live.
It's live.
Hi,
Yeah,
everybody.
Okay, well, hopefully they can see me or hear me.
Hello. And how,
Hey,
how do we see the chat?
Well, see, that's what I was saying earlier is I never was able to see the chat when I used to do this with Joy, so I would have
Here,
to go on my cell phone and look
I'll go to your page.
for that.
Yeah, I'll do that for you.
and this is being shared to YouTube at the same time that we are on right now.
Yep, it's on. It's live. It's live right
Mhm.
now. I see it.
yeah,
We're so old school.
that's good.
That's what life is.
Well, it's December 30th, 2017, and we're here for Katelyn Nicole Davis. So we came here to talk about her and the memory of her, everything that was good about her. Um, Anybody else have anything to share now?
Yeah, we've been talking a lot about her more than ever for the last few days, and a lot of good and happy, and also a lot of obviously not so much.
Yeah, and there's been some crazy stuff going on too, all the way from Christmas to this day, from certain people. We've been talking about that too, but prefer at the moment to talk about all the wonderful things that Katelyn was. Now, I have something here from a person named Wendy Campbell. She lives in Tennessee, and she asked me to read something on this day, which she wrote for Katelyn, and it's actually a letter to Katelyn. So I'd like to read that now for her because she can't be here right now. So this letter was written on Thursday, December 21st, 2017, and it goes, Dear beautiful soul and spirit of Katelyn Nicole Davis, I have some things to say to you. Since the day we learned of you, so many of us wanted to take care of you, save you, make you know how much you are cared about and adored, and how smart and pretty you are. I know it's just in hopes, and I know you are gone, but many of us like to think you are still around, in spirit, and can hear and see what has happened since that fateful evening. Please understand, I'm not as eloquent as many who care, but I will do my best to say what I really want to say to you. I know we can't bring you back, but I hope you know how many of us would have been a true friend to you, or even a loving family. As long as we live and breathe, we will never forget you or stop trying to find justice. I can't help but think that we may have changed things for you in some little way. Left behind in darkness, wedged between walls of ice, I just wish someone had heard you and really listened and gave you some good advice. We wish we had you back, even as a shadow, even as a dream. It takes a minute to find a special person, an hour to appreciate them, and a day to love them, but it takes an entire lifetime to forget them. And you, dear girl, will never be forgotten. And that was written by Wendy Campbell.
And Wendy was a viewer of mine, and she would, before I even knew you could check messages on YouTube, she was sending me all these messages about Katelyn, like paragraphs, and she's one of Katelyn's admirers who has talked about her every day since. And when she said in that letter that even in a dream, even if Katelyn comes back in a dream, I know what she means by that because all of y'all have had a dream about Katelyn so far, and I haven't. And I so wish I could have, because my dreams are so vivid, and it would mean a lot if I could have a dream about her, a happy dream.
Right, and Wendy also has a lot of cats. She's a great cat lover.
Yeah, and I call her a hippie lady.
Mm-hmm. You said you want a dream, Rachel. Well, I
Yeah,
had, but it was more of a nightmare. You wouldn't have wanted the dream that I had.
I think you told me, but I'm
Yeah,
not gonna.
I won't say it here, but yeah, it was more of a nightmare.
Yeah, but it was realistic. Hi, Skeleton Goth. I see that you're watching. This is Kaitlyn's
Yeah.
day.
Yes, Skeleton Goth says, Celeste, how are you?
Well, I said that we've been talking a lot about Kaitlyn for the last few days. We talk about Kaitlyn pretty much every day. And I
That's
mean,
true.
we get so heated. Some like outsiders might be like, those people are crazy. We are crazy about Kaitlyn. And there are times when everything can be fine and then just bam, one thing that somebody said about Kaitlyn or like all these Kaitlyn groups, I think they're great. Like for the most part, they're amazing. Like on Facebook. But there's always like these certain people who they like to say that attention's being taken away from Kaitlyn, but they're actually doing that by saying that. And well, that's just an example of some of the things we get heated about sometimes, but and other things that do with the investigation and stuff. But and then we can spend like hours just going over how amazing she was. And people may not believe that, like, oh, how you can no, we really like it's infinite. The things that you can find about Kaitlyn. And if you rewatch her live streams, I mean that girl was funny. Like she was witty. And there's so much we didn't see. Like we heard that there is a storybook that she wrote. What age was she when she wrote about Goshi Gummy Bear comes to town? What age was she supposed to be? Like 5?
Yeah, I'd like to hear that story.
Yeah, I want to see her illustrations for that. The book that she wrote. Like and just little things that pop into our heads. And we think of her like all the time. We'll be out in public and we'll randomly message each other and be like, oh my God, we just saw this little girl who looked just like Kaitlyn. Or we'll watch a movie and be like, Kaitlyn would have loved this movie. Or, you know, it's beyond just an admiration for her. It's a true love. And here we are a year later. And this right here is why, in a way, we are glad that she was live streaming, even though there was a lot of dangerous aspects to it. I mean, that's how we got to know her. And like Ian said earlier, what did you say, 30 hours worth or more?
Yeah, 30 hours, but those 30 hours, I mean, she was just so real. And you got to know her, and you got to really care about her.
So real and unfiltered and no apologies about who she was. And so good to her siblings. That's an understatement.
She was just so open about herself. It's like she gave the viewers of her live streams just, anything they wanted to know about her. And you can really see her wonderful personality. I've often compared seeing Kaitlyn's live streams to reading the diary of Anne Frank. Anne Frank was open in the same way in that diary. It's just like she just spoke directly to it. And Kaitlyn spoke directly to the viewers on the live.me live stream.
And intelligent like Anne.
Yep. Intelligence was probably her main characteristic. I heard she could speak hundreds of words at 22 months old or something, and could speak a little bit of Spanish too.
Yeah.
From a young age, she was highly intelligent.
Yeah, very intelligent, and she just had that star quality that you just can't teach.
Yeah, that's why we could watch her like for hours, even if she wasn't really talking about anything.
Yeah, I think I told you guys this before. You can watch somebody, just a random live stream of us. Somebody might be talking about the most compelling topic imaginable, and you're falling asleep. But Kaitlyn, she could talk about nothing, and you're compelled.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I want y'all, if y'all are watching, anybody out there watching, if you happen to be feeling like Kaitlyn did preceding her leaving, just imagine how Kaitlyn felt like she had no one. Like, just imagine. Kaitlyn felt like she was worthless and had no one. Even when she would get on Live Me and had a huge audience, they still would only acknowledge her as an object. And she would beg basically for them to ask her to sing, and that rarely happened. And But look at what a star she actually really was. Like, that just proves that you cannot go by what your circle thinks of you, or what your school thinks of you, or your teachers think of you, or your parents think of you, or your step parents, or your siblings, or your neighbor, or your coworkers. Like, there is such a world beyond that. And if somebody like Kaitlyn, who had a heart of gold, a patience of gold, more patience than most adults, just the inner beauty of beyond, like out of this world, she was honestly too good for this world. I was saying that all day, that I feel like this planet is a prison planet sometimes, and I feel like she was too good for it. And so if someone like that is feeling worthless, just let that show you that, just stick around and give yourself a chance, because you do deserve that. Like, let someone like Kaitlyn remind you of how you can really be fooled into thinking the total opposite about yourself, that what's actually true.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look how many people are heartbroken a year later.
That's true.
Yes. And in love still. We're still in love with her.
And that's the thing
Well,
about
I think
this this whole entire event is that, in the very beginning, there were so many groups and so many pages and people really digging into it, and there were lots of people who wanted justice and wanted to learn and find out exactly what had happened. But then later on, those numbers started to go down, and here we are a year later with literally thousands upon thousands. I mean, there are groups that are in, I think we counted up one night in October, I think we counted about 30,000 people who are part of a Kaitlyn community, whether it's a page, a group, YouTube videos, or whatever it is, that follow this community.
I
And
wish
when we
she
talk
knew that.
about, go ahead.
I just said I wish that she was able to. I wish she knew that.
Right. And when we talk about, the kind of person she was and the attributes, one of the things that comes to my mind that I can never let go of is when she was standing there, with that curtain and the dots on it, facing out, and she was said, that I do covers and I sing songs, and this is how It's Jolly works. And she said the most amazing thing. She said, if you like it, give me a thumbs up. And if you don't like it, give me a thumbs down. But tell me why. It's my first one, and give me some, basically constructive criticism. She wanted to learn. She was like a sponge. She wanted to absorb everything she could and be better and be stronger. She desired to be everything that she could be. That's the thing that's so amazing, is that she knew that she would, probably get some crap comments, because that's how the internet works. But it didn't matter. She was asking for it. And, her attributes, when we talk about talent and beauty and personality and patience, I mean, the list goes on. And that is one of the things that we talk about on a regular basis. And the thing that makes us connect her to so many things in our own personal lives and our own world. I've heard some people say, wow, some of those people are really obsessed much. And I don't think that they really understand how deep it goes. They really don't.
They
And I
haven't
think
watched her enough or something, because there's a lesson to be learned when you watch her. She exemplifies
very
what kind of person we should all be, of any age, of any gender.
right. Exactly.
And the reason I think she was so open to constructive criticism about not just her singing, but about anything, was because she, unlike most of us, and I'm guilty of this, she was not run by her ego. Like, that was not in the forefront of her mind, was pleasing her ego.
Right.
She was just all about humility and really serving others.
Kindness. Very
Yeah,
kind.
like a lot of people, a lot of bullies I see, their excuse for bullying people is, well, I was treated this way, or I was raped, or I was abused, and blah, blah, blah. And you hear it a lot with pedophiles. You hear it a lot with abusers. You hear it a lot with trolls online who tell people to kill themselves. And Kaitlyn is proof that you don't have to go in the direction of that. When you're bullied, you can go the opposite direction. And I mean, my God, if anybody had an excuse, it would be Kaitlyn, to be vengeful. And
Yeah, she's a prime example of nature over nurture.
True.
mm-hmm. And so it's not, the question shouldn't be how do you obsess over somebody, a year later. The question should be how do you not become captivated by someone like her? Especially, a lot of people say, well, you weren't there. Well, you weren't there. You didn't know her. You didn't see. Actually, yeah, we were. We did see a lot of her up to her last breaths. Some of us did, and not by choice.
And many of us are doing a lot more now than some of those people did at all.
Exactly.
Who were in her life, you're saying?
Yeah. I mean, in regard to awareness, prevention, education, compassion.
Oh, there's a lot to be learned about compassion, education about this. We see a lot of firsts with her live streams. We see the first time the damage that's put into a mind from bullying, both from the school bullies, not just the school bullies, but I believe the stepfather too. And that's something we have never seen before. So now people can understand what their bullying is actually doing to someone, because now you can see it in real time. I think her life is so profound, so compelling, and her circumstances are so unique that she should become famous. I would like to see movies made about her, books written about her, plays written about her. I would like to see her become a household name in America. That's what I feel about Kaitlyn.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you in the last 24 to 48 hours, I've seen more requests from people joining her groups than I've seen since January. So her name's getting out there. I mean, even just all night tonight, there's been like probably 7 an hour.
Right. And a lot of people in South America too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I noticed that too.
Yeah, mark my words, she will be a household name. It's a gut feeling. I just know that's what's going to happen.
I hope.
And by the way, Rachel, the skeleton goth is asking to join the stream.
I'm not sure how familiar he is with what we're talking about though, so I don't know if he would feel comfortable.
Can you invite someone else who's not on here?
Yeah. Well, I think. Let me see. Yeah, I clicked the little. Yeah.
Gerard is watching us. So I don't know if you can invite him.
Oh, that would be. He's definitely been involved in this. So.
Yeah, go ahead and invite him.
I'm gonna need. Let me see. I'm gonna need his email address to do that. Well, he's gonna have to have a hangout, which I think he does. Let's see. I'm gonna type his name in and see if it comes up. Gerard. Nope. He's gonna have to.
Well, he's listening to us right now. So if you can send that to Celeste or to me, that would be great, G. And then we can add you to this.
Yeah, PM them on Facebook or something.
Right.
So I was getting a lot of messages from people asking why I haven't been uploading a lot lately because of this approaching day, and it's been really hard for a lot of us. And I know that sounds selfish to say, obviously, because but it really has. We've all been in this resentful, sort of bitter, just knowing what's to come and knowing that this time last year, we weren't aware and that there's nothing we can really do about it. It just makes it all feel less like some. I was saying this to the group a few days ago, but when you have a bad dream and you wake up and you try to go back to sleep and you try to fix it, that's what it felt like when we first discovered Kaitlyn, because we literally found out about her just hours after she took her life, and we saw her and got to know her. It's like we became her friend, and then bam, she was gone, within hours in our face. And so it felt like a bad dream that and it was like we wanted to go back to sleep and change things, but we couldn't. And so now, just a few weeks ago, it was like up until now, we've just all been kind of brewing, and just the whole mood has changed. Like, and today we've been able to laugh a little and talk and really just love her fully without all this bitterness. But it has been just, well, on my end anyway, and some other people's, we've kind of just, I don't know how to put it, but.
No, you're right. It's been a very depressing month.
Mm-hmm. Because we didn't know her over the summer. You know, there was no link. There was no association with her. We got to know her around this time. And so it's, you know, they say the seasons, you have these nostalgic feelings and all that. And that's when we got to know her. And so it all makes it feel real again. And so I hope that, you know, nobody feels, and I do read y'all's comments. And I love when I get new comments, because it shows me that new people are finding out about Kaitlyn, and that's awesome. And I know that that means there's going to be, those people are going to be talking about her and sharing information about her, which means more people are going to learn about her. And, you know, the thing is a lot of people say, well, who cares? She's gone, so it doesn't matter, you know, get over it. And
never.
You know, some people you just don't forget. You just can't forget, and they shouldn't be forgotten. Some people just shouldn't be. Some people should be forgotten, and then other people should never be forgotten. Just because someone's gone, what is that like? So what, we have to? That doesn't mean anything. And actually, she's, you know,
No.
Sorry.
Some people you want to remember forever. And Kaitlyn's one.
Mm-hmm.
Is Gerard? Is he on now?
I sent you his address.
Yeah, Courtney sent it.
Oh, you sent it to me?
She sent it in the chat on Hangouts.
I've not seen that.
That's in the chat?
I'm not seeing it.
This is a chat that only we can see.
Oh, okay.
Wait, I just clicked chat. I'm not seeing it in there either.
Gerard's done a lot of great work for Kaitlyn with his videos. And he's also taken a lot of hits for her. There's certain trolls who have attacked him. I won't mention that one individual by name, but Gerard has taken a lot of flack from him.
Do you see it on there now, Rach?
I do not. Hold on one second.
Try.
Oh, yes, I do. I do.
Okay.
Copy text. Oy vey. Okay.
All right. The Skeleton Goth is sending out his email address. He also said, "I'm willing to learn. I was just getting a little info about this."
Oh.
Hold on one second. I can't multi-think, so I didn't hear anything you just said. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. Oh, there he is. Invite.
All right, let's get G in the house.
He now has an invite, so.
Okay. I was saying that the Skeleton Goth has said, "I'm willing to learn. I was just getting a little info about this." And then he sent his email.
About Hangouts or about the topic?
I think he's talking about Kaitlyn. He's getting some info.
Well, if he wants to discuss her, that's fine. I just, on the stream, I feel like, just because I know Gerard's going to have a lot to say right now.
Mm-hmm. And there he is. Hey, G.
Hey.
G. Hello.
What's up?
Welcome.
The end of...
Hey, can y'all see my face?
I saw your eyeballs and your nostrils.
I really can't tell what you're looking at.
Oh, it's you and a light bulb.
Hey, y'all, what's going on? I'm trying not to be very loud. Can y'all hear me?
Oh, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Loud and
Yeah.
clear.
All
Loud and clear.
Yeah.
right, then let me close out some of my technology. Hey, so what's going on, y'all?
Well,
Just talking about Kaitlyn.
Talking about Katelyn. This is the anniversary. Today is it? It's today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where you're at, it just turned over into New Year's Eve here in central United States, Minnesota.
Oh shoot. Yeah, I'm not very good with numbers. I forget. But all right. So yeah, I noticed. I don't know. Y'all veered off. I didn't hear what y'all were talking about just right now. What were y'all? What were y'all diving into?
I don't like to think of this as like the anniversary that, the day she left. I like to think of it as the day that I met someone I would never forget. I don't like to think of her in that way ever. So I don't know. I don't refer to today as, what do they call it? The anniversary of when someone dies. There's a name for it, but
Shoot, I don't know what the name would be.
They're calling it her angelversary when she became an angel.
Angel verse.
she was always an angel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shoot. Oh shoot, there's Rod Stark. Hey, that's true. I mean, I feel the same way about it. The thing is, it always kind of reminds me of this one verse, and I don't know the verse in the Bible, and it talks about your birthday and how your birthday is kind of important, but it's never as important as your death day. Something like that. I'm paraphrasing, but it always reminds me of that.
Well, I could see why, because it seems like that's when people set aside any fault you might have, any flaw, the day that you die, and they suddenly focus on all of the good stuff.
Ella G says a death anniversary is called a Barcy.
Oh, I've never heard of that.
Hmm.
Did you say a Marcy?
Barcy.
A Marcy?
Barsy.
What is that? Latin?
I don't know.
Well, I think your birthday is pretty important too.
I have no idea.
With your birthday, you come into this life. So I wouldn't want to downplay the importance of your birthday.
Yeah, but when you're born, you don't really yet have a personality, and everybody just sees you as a generic baby. But when you die, unless you died as a baby, then you have something, beyond just that. That's who you are. Like, people remember you for, I mean, I get what you're saying though. Like,
Right. Well, the day that you die, you've accomplished everything in your life that you're going to accomplish.
right. And you've,
So kind of like a final point. Kaitlyn accomplished a lot in her short life. It was 12 years, but
she didn't even, yeah, like her accomplishments were just her heart just beating, period.
yeah, just to be exposed to her personality and who she was is an incredible experience. So I'm very happy the life was preserved.
And that's what I hope our viewers who suffer with depression and anxiety and feelings of self-worthlessness, I hope that they also understand that
a lot of people have gotten on the YouTube comments and other places, and they've had depression and suicidal ideation. I think, or I hope, they looked at Kaitlyn as information or inspiration to help themselves as a way out of that. And see, a lot of people look at Kaitlyn as I think, Rachel, you said one time you talked to a psychologist and she was contagion or something. Like, her story would cause other children to commit suicide. And I thought, well, no way, not in this case. This is different.
right. It showed what the thing is, in my opinion, what I got from it that I think other depressed people could get from it is that you can be really misled. Like, other people can mold how you see yourself, and you can really feel trapped, and sometimes you can actually literally be trapped like she was. But there are still people out there who would love you and appreciate you, because in this world, feelings of belonging and feeling loved, those are the two things we need the most. We need that more than we do our most basic of necessities. That's why they say, like, after a breakup or a divorce, people will stop eating and they'll stop, helping themselves, because love and belonging, those are the two things that we need as humans. So if we don't feel like we have that, it doesn't matter how beautiful we are like Kaitlyn, smart we are like Kaitlyn, loving we are like Kaitlyn, if we don't have that feeling of belonging, that's it. And
right, which another reason why all of Kaitlyn live streams, Skype she did, everything she did should be preserved, because now people can see what the void is that she experienced, so they can try to learn how to fill that. But they can also learn how she fought heroically against what was coming at her, and that too should be a source of strength for a lot of people.
She never bullied anybody as revenge. And the lesson, because people might say, yeah, but look what she ended up doing, so how's that a good message? Well, it shows that she shouldn't have killed herself, because it's irreversible. And now, it shows that she should have given herself another chance. And that, of course, I'm not blaming her, because she was young and she was feeling trapped. But if she had just held out a little more hope, and this is my own opinion, if she hadn't been on Prozac, I feel like that was her final push. I feel like had she not been on that, I don't know. I don't really think she would have. I don't know. I could be wrong about that, but. And
what does Prozac do? Do you know?
Prozac, if you have suicidal tendencies, it makes you suddenly get into this, like a switch. You go into this mode where you feel like you have to kill yourself, and you don't even have any real. You just feel apologetic, like she did, like the apologizing over and over and over. That's why that video that I put up, I showed the testimony of people rehashing when they felt suicidal on Prozac, and how it made them almost kind of zone out and just feel like they had to do it. And I talked about how when I was on it, how Tim had to talk me out of it, and I was feeling guilty for all these things that I shouldn't have felt guilty about. It just hit me all at once. And it lasted for over an hour of me crying on the couch and having to talk me out of it. And I know it was the medicine. And she was only 12, and so that makes it even worse. And
why would you think the doctor would prescribe that thing?
Because he makes a lot of money doing it. I've read so many articles about psychiatrists, how much money they make every time they throw a pill at somebody, an SSRI. They make so much money. That's what her psychiatrist talked about. I mean, that's what his focus was, apparently, because he knew she was referred to him by the mental hospital that she was released from. So that he was aware that she was already suicidal. He was aware that she had already attempted suicide multiple times. He was aware that there was neglect going on at the home, that CPS was coming to the home. So he was aware that she wouldn't even be monitored while on that medicine, like you're supposed to be. He was aware that she was 12. He was aware that she was, prepubescent/pubescent. He was aware that all that. And yet he still gave her Prozac. That right there, he should be charged. That right there. Somebody in her family should go after him, because she could very well be alive right now.
Have you had the opportunity to talk to him ever?
I've tried. He has 2 locations, and every time I call one, it's always her. Believe it or not, her name is Kaitlyn, the same woman who answers the phone. She says, "Hi, this is Kaitlyn, blah, blah." And then I say, "Okay, I would like to speak to him." And then he always says, "Well, he's at the other clinic." So then I call the other clinic, and they always say, "Well, he's at the other clinic." It's the same runaround every time. And I'm not expecting them to disclose like personal details about, Kaitlyn specifically, but I would like to ask him, one, if he even is aware that one of his patients committed suicide, his 12-year-old patient, because he might not even know. And 2, if if he's even aware of what he's throwing out at 12-year-olds to take. Like these kids who come from it, and if you read his reviews online, oh my gosh. I know, Ian, you were reading them. They were horrific. Ian?
Yeah, it definitely was. I mean, you there were
I feel you.
positive reviews, but they seemed very superficial. But the negative reviews were all very, very similar in tone.
And they weren't just after Kaitlyn. They were like years before Kaitlyn, up to Kaitlyn, and after. So it's not like they were just because of Kaitlyn. They all said the same thing, that he wouldn't listen, that he was prescribing medicines without really knowing about it. He wasn't telling his patients of the side effects of the medicine, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And, you know, I'm not like some anti-medicine person. Like, I'm not that kind of person, but I know what Prozac does. Prozac has a reputation for a reason. It's not like Lexapro. It's not like Zoloft. It is the top one for causing people to commit suicide. And you're not supposed to give that one to people who have tried to commit suicide. I don't know why he has gotten off easy.
Telling Tammy, the mother of Kaitlyn, the side effects of that? Of that
Did
drug?
she know?
Yeah, I was wondering.
Are you asking me if she knew?
Yeah, if you know that.
I don't know if Tammy knew or not, but I don't think she did. But I know she's on my same page when it comes to medications. So that's why because I know that, well, I'm not going to get into that, but I know that she doesn't agree with medication. So I don't know why Kaitlyn was on it. I don't know if like she was just complying with the state or what. I don't know, but Kaitlyn should not have been on that. And I don't know who knew what. But the psychiatrist knew what he was doing. And he should not be. What he did.
Alcan says Prozac isn't supposed to be given to those under 25.
Well, it can be legally, unfortunately, in our country. Welcome to America. It can be, but not like you're not even supposed to give it to adults who have attempted suicide. You're supposed to go for other SSRIs, not Prozac, if someone has attempted suicide. So not only that, but she was 12. But that person does have a point. I mean, because under 25, your brain is still developing. And so they recommend, like, okay, just a few years ago, okay, I'm 30 now, but a few years ago, my psychiatrist wouldn't prescribe me even one pill of, what is it? It's one that helps with panic attacks. It starts with an A. She wouldn't even give me more than one pill a month because she was afraid of what it could do. Like, she was afraid, like, of me getting suicidal or something. And I mean, I'm a grown woman. So that just shows, like, he was just a money-hungry piece of crap.
That's probably why he's avoiding talking to you. Be ashamed now, because of what happened.
Yeah,
when you have a child that's attempted suicide more than once, and for most of us who've done our homework, we know that a suicide attempt where she overdosed on the pills at school, and then she went to Floyd Medical Center and was prescribed the antidepressant Prozac. If that was the answer why wasn't she given that when she was at Peachford? Why wasn't she given that when she was at the hospital before? She had numerous times where she had been hospitalized, where she had gone through treatment and was given other drugs. Why did they decide that was the treatment?
Because money. Because, at 12 years old, the questions that should be asked and the actions that should be taken are, what's going on at home? Oh, okay. You're playing mommy all day. Okay. And
a home visit might be necessary.
Do what?
A home visit would have been a good time to flag the chart.
Right. Multiple home visits, not just some prepared ones every other week. Multiple home visits. From family too. I mean, all these family who want to post these sweet posts and stuff every other month. Like, where were they? Like, they knew that she was in this position. Well, we stopped by and we would call. No, that's not being there. Like, they knew that she tried to end her life. That should have been an indicator that there was an urgent situation in that home going on. She was 12. That's what I don't think under people. Like, throwing pills at a 12-year-old for their mental health is like saying, guess what, honey? You can't control yourself and you need to fix yourself. So swallow this and you'll be fixed. That's the complex that you're giving a child.
Look at the statistics of anybody, child or adult. Anybody who goes and takes their own life, 1,000,000 to 1, and G can attest to this. He's done his homework. They were taking prescription medication, and especially in the way that she took her life, 100% spot on.
Yeah, it's always, I always say not every suicide is somebody who was on SSRIs, but almost every suicidal person who gets on SSRIs does end up committing suicide. And people can think about suicide. They actually say that the average person has thought about suicide. Like almost every person has. So that alone, I hope that comforts some viewers, like that it's actually not abnormal to imagine life without you and to like sometimes think of just poof disappearing and being gone. That's actually not that abnormal. But it is abnormal to try to kill yourself over and over. That is abnormal and you do need help. But those types of people who are not as common to be put on an SSRI, that is a recipe for disaster. Because a lot of people confuse like actually attempting suicide with thinking about it. Those are not the same things.
Now, another reason she committed suicide was, well, she was on Prozac, but she was also Skyping with this guy named Luke Callahan, who was apparently a predator patrol in Massachusetts. Now he's been arrested. He's sitting in a jail in Norwell, Massachusetts for statutory rape of a 14-year-old girl. So this is all common knowledge. It's all on the internet. And I just wonder what he said to her during that final time that kind of tipped the scales.
Well, if Polk County would retrieve the messages.
Yeah, I wish that Polk County would try to preserve some of that record on those servers.
Because there's a lot in those Skype calls. You just know it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, one thing about Luke is I've heard other people, like you go on YouTube, read the comments. Some are girls that have known him. They said he was so charming. He's such a bad boy, so attractive to women. I mean, I guess I could see why he could easily bowl over Kaitlyn.
And Gerard thinks that, Gerard, how did you describe Luke again?
A lesbian.
How did I describe who?
How did you describe how you see Luke Callahan again? Because it was kind of,
Luke Callahan. I mean, it's a variation of ways, but everybody's seen the Facebook pictures. I mean, because I don't know his exact dimensions, but he's not a very, I guess, a normal male. He's actually a little bit smaller. So sometimes he does look a little bit like a lesbian, to be quite honest. I think everybody thinks that.
You said you thought he looked like a little boy. And see, I don't know. Like when I see him and I see him with Kaitlyn, he looks like he could be Kaitlyn's like way older brother or something. Like to me, he still looks significantly older than Kaitlyn to me.
He's definitely bigger and older looking than Kaitlyn, but Kaitlyn was 12 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a lot of people think Kaitlyn didn't look 12, and I disagree with that.
It's true. It's probably true. It's really hard to tell these days for people who are interested in that kind of thing.
What do you mean?
I mean, for those who do seek out younger ladies, they are developing at different stages and variants and stuff these days, and it's concerning, but that's on a whole different other topic.
Well,
I mean, that's more of what exactly are we eating these days?
Well, it'd be kind of nice to know what the demographic of all those trolls look like out there on the internet after the Katelyn Nicole Davis case. I started getting involved first time in January. I wasn't much involved with the internet a whole lot until I got into that. And now I had experience with a lot of trolls. Crazy guy. One particular guy out of East London that I won't get into. But anyway, these people, yes, they're all over. They're crawling over the internet. And now Kaitlyn's story kind of exposes that too. I mean, every parent should see Kaitlyn's live streams. She should, every mother and father should look at how Luke got her to fall in love with him. because this just goes on all the times, and a lot of people are just oblivious of it. They just don't see the whole world of the internet that, you know, kids have, that has unfolded in the past, you know, decade of the intercommunication age. And now with Kaitlyn, you know, for the first time, we see it.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, I moved in with a stripper when I was 12, who I met in an AOL chat room because I wanted somewhere to stay that was functional. And then after that, I met other people and I moved in with them also from chat rooms. And I was just really like, looking back, I'm alive, and I'm lucky. And Kaitlyn, though, is not like, her story when it comes to that, like the internet and meeting older people, like that's actually not uncommon, especially in that part of the country. Like, it's really not. And that's what needs awareness too. And she doesn't just teach that. There's so many lessons to be learned in Kaitlyn's story. As a mother, there are lessons I've learned when it comes like when my son will close off or get quiet, or I like, her story has taught me to really ask more questions. You know, when he's like, not just to comfort him, but to ask more questions. Like, you know, there's just so much to learn from watching her and the dynamic between her and her mom, and like, lessons for everyone, lessons for grown men, lessons for younger guys, lessons for kids, teenagers, teachers, psychiatrists, neighbors. She had neighbors, cousins. Blood family sometimes thinks all they have to do is like just be blood, and that's, you know, they should just automatically be granted respect. And no, like, if you're not there for your family members, but people over the internet are, then you're no more, you know?
Even in death. How about that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And getting mad at people for talking about Kaitlyn, for remembering her and doing tributes. Like, how is that even possible? How do you get mad at people for that?
Who's getting mad?
That is one thing that we talked about today that probably should be brought up. Go ahead, G.
No, I was just asking, who is this getting mad at people?
Go to the comments.
Nah, I don't really go to the comments all that often. I go to my own comments.
Go to the groups on Facebook.
Dang it.
One of the things that we were talking about today with
my Facebook's been acting up.
Even these so-called suicide prevention organizations, y'all heard when I talked to them, even they kind of had an attitude like, well, like, why do you want to talk about this, or why do you want her face out there? It's like, really? Like, why did Anne Frank's story get told? Like,
yeah, it's true. That is true.
Like, why are you asking me that question? Like, ask yourself why not. Like, it's like, everybody wants everything hush hush. You would think by now people would learn that doesn't help.
No, I don't think it does.
But there's some sort of dysfunction here where, like we talked about earlier, people think that they can demand how others grieve and how others process and how others handle things. You know, that was one of the things that we talked about, was that, you know, this day, December 30th, is the day that a dark shadow has been cast, and it still has not left, and it may never leave from this day. But we know that on February 20th, that is Kaitlyn's birthday. And we know that she was a beautiful, beautiful young girl who had so many attributes. And today, many people have marked this day, this special, sacred day, as the day when you can only do the things that people can tell you to do. Like, you can only light a candle, and you can only say positive things, and you can't talk about certain things or anybody that was involved in the injustice or accountability, and that there's some sort of kind of sequence of events where everybody's supposed to follow this command and direction of the people. And, you know, that speaks a lot for the entire Katelyn Nicole Davis community. No one owns Kaitlyn. So, you know, even now, even though her mother is the legal guardian in life and in death, so that in the event that she wanted to move her somewhere else, she can legally do that. But no one owns the pictures that are all over the internet, that are, on Google. No one owns the tributes, the videos. This is all common among all of us people who have a heart for Kaitlyn and have been drawn to her. These same people are the people who are not today going into a dark cave and taking a vow of silence and lighting one candle and not coming out until tomorrow. We're celebrating her life, even though it is today, December 30th, that the dark shadow has been cast. Because had it not been that day, like Celeste said earlier, we would not know of her. It's because of the tragic events that have taken place that we have got to know who she is and all about her. But how dare anybody tell someone else how you can grieve? How dare anybody say what you can post and what you can't, and that you shouldn't be doing this and you should be doing that? It's up to each individual on where they are met with Kaitlyn's story, on how they're processing it, because every single one of us takes all of our history behind us, everything we've grown up with, and everything that we know in our little own world, in our circle, and we go out, and somewhere along the line, Kaitlyn touched something there, and we're not all the same. So whatever touched me didn't touch any of you guys the same. So I can't imagine that all of us would be on some military docket saying, okay, at 4 o'clock the chime, 5 o'clock the candle, 6 o'clock everybody put on your shirt, 7 o'clock sit down, 8 o'clock snuff the candle. That's not how we're doing this. We're not all about this crazy religious activity where people are telling us and dictating to us how we're going to do it. And that's been a real strong problem today. Every single person is free to walk through this exactly the way that they need to, and everyone is free to reach out to anyone that they feel that they need to, and that might be one of us, that might be someone else. I mean, if I see somebody commenting and posting that we're not doing this on Kaitlyn's day, blah, 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 you telling me that if I'm thinking about suicide, I'm going to reach out to that person? They're already telling me how I have to handle my post for Facebook. Not likely.
Right. And, I always think, what would Kaitlyn want? That's what I always ask myself when it deals with anything that deals with Kaitlyn. Would Kaitlyn approve of this video? Would Kaitlyn approve of what I'm talking about whenever it deals with Kaitlyn? And in this case, from what I gathered, she was a pretty open-minded person. And if it was love, that's all that would have mattered to Kaitlyn. Like, if it was coming from a place of love, that's all that she would have cared about. And this whole bullying among the groups, and I mean, the whole reason that Kaitlyn's whole story is surrounded with bullying. And so when people are telling other people how to grieve, that is a passive form of bullying. And like you said, that's like the last thing. That's not going to make someone. I'm sorry, you can go on.
By the way, Celeste, Emmett Lester, $2. Katelyn Nicole Davis forever.
Do what?
It's a donation.
Got a $2 donation from Emmett Lester.
That's wonderful.
Okay, yeah. Thank you so much, Emmett. Courtney knows how to send to AJ and Abby, Kaitlyn's younger siblings, and
we're already carrying a box for them for Valentine's Day, so we can put it towards that.
Oh, yay! So thank you, Emmett. So this is on my thing, but all I have to do is I've never actually done it, but I can just, should be easy.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all.
Uh-huh.
I wanted to pose a question. I'm trying to gather what everybody and how everybody feels about the group of people that's assembling right now. Because I know that I myself, and probably some of y'all out there, think of it as something of a movement like a movement for justice, if you will. Well, the thing is, for those who might look at it as a movement, what I want to suggest is something that I personally talked about a while back. I remember I remember it occurring to me that pretty much every movement, like just in the general sense that I've ever seen, dies. They all die. None of them actually succeed except for, of course, ones who either have a leader that would be one leader, or B, something like a constitution, like a set of rules that everybody in the group absolutely has to abide by in order for everybody to also have their own differences and be able to agree to disagree on certain things, so long as everybody's following the rules of a said constitution. I don't know how y'all feel about something like that.
Something that could be written up, G. We sort of have it.
Because the thing is, y'all are talking a lot about bullying. I don't like bullying, and I always try to say I really don't like it. It makes me feel uncomfortable. But bullying, in and of itself, is very confusing. It's a very confusing topic, and it tends, in my opinion, to get people distracted when thinking about it too hard. Because there's always going to be people distracting from the movement, if you will.
We have that. We have a lot of those.
Yeah, there's a lot of distractors.
So what do you think should be the focus of because I guess I don't know, when I think of a movement I think of like a giant wave of change.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too.
So what do you think is the prime, or should be the prime focus then, of Kaitlyn's movement?
Well, I think in this case, we have so many people, and I think, everybody here and a lot of people who aren't here are proving to be quite vital in the progress that we're making. There's a lot of characters involved already. So as far as picking one leader, I don't think that that's even possible. So what I would think would be a good idea, what I would suggest would be some sort of constitution of the group declared. That way, everybody is, on the same page. And we understand what it is we're trying to accomplish with this.
Well, I can off the top of my head say I would feel like Kaitlyn would be the leader, if you will.
Yeah.
And
Much like.
Sorry.
I was going to say, much like, other religious leaders who are gone, and we can't really ask them.
Right, like Jesus. He was a nice dude and stuff. And I would say like a constitutional rule or law or whatever. And sadly, this will be subjective because not everybody has a moral compass, if you will. But like, is I feel like one of the top problems in her case and many others is assuming, because so many things could have been prevented if it weren't for assumption. For instance, if her family who came around all the time didn't just assume that because she was pretty, she was happy, or because she was smiling, she was happy, or because her mom said everything was okay, or because the teachers talked to her about, what was going on, that everything was okay. It was assumption after assumption after assumption. And then Kaitlyn also was assuming, because she was assuming that nothing would ever get better. She was assuming that everyone hated her. She was assuming that what Anthony said was true, and etc. So assuming is what, because the thing is even if we really think what we're assuming is true, there's still an inkling of a chance that we could be wrong. And so assuming is a big problem here.
It's a problem, but how could we stop anybody from assuming?
Well, we have to become conscious in our thoughts. We need to practice mindful thinking, as cheesy as it sounds. And
I would agree.
Yeah, and not, every, I know you're religious, and every religious text always talks about how we need to, really pay more attention to our thoughts. Thoughts alone can become toxic or sinful or whatever. And when you allow that sort of, we just can't assume. Like her family members, she could still be here right now if they didn't just assume that her smiles were indicative of a happy person.
Yeah. It's true.
Yeah, say Rachel, that's another good question. I'm just wondering why her family members aren't more outspoken about justice and awareness, and um, just information about Kaitlyn. Because when you look at someone like Beth Holloway and what she did, or like I've seen videos of the father of Amanda Todd, he did some on Amanda,
Yeah.
but we haven't seen anything from the
No.
parents of Kaitlyn.
It's an ego thing, and I'm glad that you brought up those parents, because what those parents did, and I saw, they actually got a lot of attacks. They were also attacked. It's almost inevitable. If a child kills themselves, becomes kidnapped, basically if any wrongdoing happens to a child, the parents are usually the first to be attacked. It's just natural. And those parents, their egos didn't allow themselves to go into defense mode and defend their image. Their egos were more focused on justice or fighting for a cause, like what Gerard was talking about, a movement. It wasn't about just defending myself, my position, my role. I've been great. I'm a great grandma. I was there. I'm a great aunt. I invited her to my wedding. Like none of that. Yeah, you get what I'm saying.
Hey Rachel, you got $20 from the Skeleton Goth.
What?
Skeleton God.
Oh
Yes,
my gosh.
he says to Kaitlyn, I don't know who she was, but what she did is absolutely heartbreaking. She'll always be remembered in our hearts for all eternity. Her pain is taken away, but her pain gives us strength to thrive through life.
Wow.
Well, you would absolutely love her, Skeleton Goth. She actually, she would sometimes refer to herself as emo and goth. I mean, that was like, she would get bullied sometimes for that, but she also like took pride in that. And so I think you would share that with her. And just so y'all know, like before anybody accuses any of us of, that assumption thing I was talking about that gets really deadly, before anybody assumes that we're collecting the money for ourselves, I will actually screenshot when it is sent to AJ and Abby. Well, I know y'all do, but But anyway, thank you so much, Skeleton Goth. And I know Kaitlyn would have, and that's the thing too. I've had people tell me, well, Kaitlyn wouldn't have liked you. Honestly, a part of me kind of like, she might have been like, most people don't like me.
No, not true. You're a kindred spirit.
Well, the way I see it as is, I would have loved her anyway. Like, I actually know people her age right now in real life who do act like I annoy, but I am there for them. And so I always imagine what it would be like if we could have actually known her. And what she would have divulged to us. Like, I wonder if she would have been closed off to us, or if she would have if she would have told us what was going on.
Do you mean us being strangers on the internet?
No, I mean, like, if we had been friends, like if I was that kind of annoying neighbor that, or if you were like her uncle and Courtney was her aunt.
Yeah. Hey, but y'all, I want to suggest, I think that it could have made a lot of difference, any one of us, but at the same time, I would like to suggest for y'all's consideration, of the father, her actual biological father, probably would have been well more significant than anybody else.
Significant for what?
Significant in her feelings of security and safety and stability in her life.
Which makes it even worse that he'd made
her. She was starving for his love.
And he lived a mile away.
Yeah, allegedly. I'm not sure.
It's confirmed.
Okay, well, where does he live now? Does anybody know?
Same place, a mile and a half away.
Oh, that's interesting.
And it's also been proven that he actually wasn't stopped from seeing her, and he actually did see her. When was it? In February or something? That
February or May.
He actually, when?
February or May.
Yeah. That actually wasn't true.
I think that's the time Kaitlyn was referring to in one of her streams where she said, I went over there and I tried to talk to him, but he was stuck on video games.
Yeah, video games. And I know, Gerard, so this is the thing. You're a dad and you love your daughter, and I know this, and I can confirm that because you have brought her alive the little bit that you've talked to me. So you think that he's got to be that same way because you heard him cry and he, had expressed some regret, and I'm sure he does have some. But you actually act on you actually want to be a part of your daughter's life. Like he can say it as much as he wants, but he did nothing to see her.
Y'all, I just want to interject. It is over a span of a few years, and not to make any excuses, he probably did exactly what you're saying, but during the span of a few years, there's going to be a lot of nuances and a lot of, I guess, slights that go between, say, a man and a lady who are feuding with each other.
Doesn't matter.
And it does get complicated. I'm saying it doesn't matter, and there's no excuse, but it is kind of complicated, that situation that brews.
Well, complicated, but that's still his daughter. I mean, my
No,
dad could have
you're
called
right.
every excuse in the book right now if he ever decided to reach out, and it still would not have taken back the fact that when Kaitlyn died, she felt like he didn't love her based on the fact that he made no attempt to see her, and that's what matters. So all of his feelings and desires. So what? He hated Tammy more than he loved his daughter, because that's what he's implying.
Well, Rachel, you've
Perhaps.
talked to him at length, right, on a couple of occasions. I know he's called you and talked to you.
Right, and you know what? He actually tells me that he understands why I feel the way I do, and that he knows I love his daughter, and that's why even as mad as I get, he won't ever hold it against me.
Hey, wait, so Matthew Reed is in contact with y'all?
On occasion. I mean, it hasn't been a while.
I don't know if y'all would suggest that he actually come on to the internet and elaborate because everybody's wondering what he's thinking right now.
Well, he already said.
Yeah, that's what I would say to him.
She already interviewed him.
Yeah, I know, but time goes on, and he should have grown since then.
No, he's been posting about other things.
I'm sure he regrets and he's heartbroken over the fact that he missed his opportunity
to
be with Kaitlyn while she was alive. But now it would be his chance to go on all the forms of social media and talk about Kaitlyn
and talk about it.
Nobody's stopping him. I mean, he gets on.
Well, I mean, I don't know if he feels welcome or if anybody could ask him.
Well, it doesn't matter. His daughter's gone, and if he's learned something, he's a grown man, and
yeah, but he really should. See, the thing is, he owes everybody. That's what I'm trying to suggest. He owes everybody his testimonial as of today, and I don't know if he knows that.
Well, it would have been nice.
We would like him to come on and speak more.
It would have been nice. It would have been nice. It would have been nice if he showed as much passion for Kaitlyn as he does for his Twitter arguments.
Yeah,
he's on Twitter. I don't know. He's on Twitter.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he is. He's still on Twitter like today.
No, he goes dark for a long time, but he'll come.
So when's the last time he was on Twitter? Like, when was he on Twitter?
Shortly before Christmas.
Oh, so pretty recently. Yeah, he should be twittering about this kind of stuff.
Here, Gerard, I just want you to know that we actually found out that a lot of what he said about how the system was keeping him from seeing Kaitlyn and blah blah blah, that actually was false. He had every way to access her. It would not have been hard in the slightest. Because I used to think it was truly some he was gonna have to come battle, to get in the castle and all this. There was none of that.
The thing is, I couldn't say in his particular state, I couldn't say what's the exact legislation, what exactly he couldn't do. But what I could guarantee is that he could never, ever have a natural relationship with his daughter. Irregardless, if he was in her life, he still could not have a natural relationship with her at this point.
He could let her feel loved, though. I mean, he could have told her every single day, I just want you to know, I have Courtney that isn't even a relative of mine, and she'll just send me a message every other day, just so you know, you're special, or I hope you're doing well, or how were your tests, and blah, blah. I mean, and he didn't even do that with his own daughter.
She was such a gem, and she was so wonderful that if I was, her father, any kind of relative, I would have tried every effort to see her even in secret.
I mean, that's
you
what I
just
was just thinking.
Sure.
You live in a mile and a half down the road. I remember when I was a teenager, our parents forbid us from hanging out because we were getting into trouble, and we would go put notes and thumbtack them to a wood post back and forth for each other.
Whoa,
A mile and a half down the road. He'd
that's
put a
awesome.
note on a post.
No, but that's actually really good. It sounds funny, but that's actually a good point. I even was talking about why wasn't he just parked out on the street? Like, and that may sound dramatic, but it's actually not. That's your own child.
I mean, can you imagine if he drove by and she went to go check the mailbox, they'd see each other. If she was in that swimming pool, they'd see each other. If she was jumping on that trampoline, they'd see each other.
Right.
And she was alone with the kids a lot of the time.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Right. But I do think, Gerard,
hey,
it's good that you have compassion, because, I mean, that's the only way people really ever will open up.
Well, thank you. I mean, I don't know. I assume all y'all have compassion out there too.
Hey, there's one other thing I want to talk about. There's kind of an ongoing issue going on right now, and it's with
Man, can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Okay.
loud and clear.
So,
There's a video creator. Her name is Cherokee Marie Ross, and
oh yeah.
I think she's been doing a lot of good work for Katelyn. I think she's a real tiger in
Very
fighting
good.
memory and trying to get justice for her, but a lot of people have been attacking her. I just want to give my opinion. I don't think it's right that they should be attacking her.
I
I
agree.
mean, that's my view.
There's a reason why people have been attacking her. And it has nothing to do with Katelyn. There's history in another group that she belonged to that was in Facebook. She's rectified whatever the misunderstanding was. And then when she came into the Katelyn community, she was befriended by some people, and that didn't go well. And so it's those two situations. I mean, she's already been labeled and criticized and judged before she even had done her one video. So all of this was pre-existing. It's just that people started to learn about it. I mean, Celeste and I knew about it way, way, way back. And it just continues to manifest. And that's, there really is a line drawn in the middle of the Katelyn community. And there's these people, and I've said this before, that are underground, who are in secret groups, who are the people who want to find everything out first and be the first ones to post information. And they don't rejoice when we rejoice. Just like when Luke Callahan got arrested, they did not applaud that. They were more worried about people being called to come together and work as one in unity for justice and awareness. So their efforts were more about criticizing and cutting people down rather than building up and everybody coming together in the group hug and saying, all right, huddle, you guys, Luke Callahan's arrested. Now, what do we want to move on to?
Right.
They're seriously, I don't think that people understand. And I've said this before, an example would be, imagine that somebody went to that mobile home on 1310 Dunn and they ripped open the wall in Katelyn's bedroom, and they found an amazing journal where she wrote down so much more than we ever could have imagined. There's a group of people who would be mad that they weren't the ones to find it. They would not rejoice that it had been found. They would be furious that they didn't know first, or that somebody posted the picture first, or that somebody in the extended family knew something and didn't tell somebody who posted it on another page, and it should have gone on this page. And, I would be jumping up and down with the person who found it. I'd be doing the whole group hug, lifting up their arm, waving it up and down. I would rejoice because we found more of Katelyn and more of the truth. There are a serious amount of people who are all in this to edge out everyone else and to be the first. They want to be the first of everything. And if they're not, they're mad.
Yeah, this "I'm better than you" attitude is disgusting.
I ignore those posts because it's deflection.
Do you think that Cherokee might want to get on here and talk a little bit about this?
I know, right?
I'm sure she would.
Maybe send her a link.
She's probably asleep.
Oh yeah, she's a mom.
So am I.
am
But
I.
she got a very young baby.
That's true.
That's worth a
And
try.
Courtney, how are you?
it's worth a try. Should probably be it.
That's why I'm eating a lot of grapes for sugar rush. Okay, let's see.
How are you
Yeah.
holding up, Courtney? I know that you're ill tonight.
Oh, I'm fine.
Courtney like doesn't sleep. Okay,
Just so you know, I
she
don't.
really doesn't.
You look at my phone, I know, and people will go, "Why were you online at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock?" Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, you'll be up till like 3 a.m. and then like I'll get up and it'll be like 7 a.m. and it'll show that you were active just a minute ago, and I'm like, wait, what? Okay,
Sometimes
Yeah.
turkey.
And
we
she's
have
Pacific
lots of
time
work
too.
to do. We have lots of work to do.
Trying to find her. Oh,
So, do
there's.
we have any comments from people that we need to respond to? Anybody that's watching the comments?
Hey, Jerky, we're live right now. If you want to come on.
Okay, comments. Let's see.
Who's reading the comments? Ian?
And
Yeah,
by
I'm
the
on.
way, if everybody wants to celebrate
That's cool.
by eating Kaitlyn's favorite food, her favorite food was bread. She said all kinds of bread. She could eat bread forever.
I ate so much bread today.
Yeah.
I did too much.
Hot dogs too.
Too much.
The bread
Way
was
too much, man. It's bad for me.
No comments?
There's quite a few, but I'm looking for
It's for the
something.
good ones.
They're all good. Don't assume anything.
Not some of them are way better.
You know, the thing about assumptions is this, is we've got to be a culture that seeks understanding, because that's where the problem is in making the assumptions. And I find that too when, you know, on the pages that I help with, I typically try not to post anything unless it's factual. And sometimes it takes a little bit more time to do the investigating and the checking and the fact finding. And some people will just type up any, yakety rumor that means absolutely nothing. That's something you would have heard from somebody down there at the corner market picking up a pack of cigarettes. Oh, I saw Tammy down here and she was doing this and AJ was this. I'm like, what? It's a crazy thing. Well, who saw that? Well, I did. And what were they wearing? Well, they don't even have a car like that. Well, her hair's not even black. It's blonde. What? I mean, it's just crazy. It's absolutely insane. The way to find out is ask a question. Seek understanding. If people would stop making assumptions and just ask some questions, they might learn something.
Courtney, you've done an incredible amount of work and research for Kaitlyn. And I think some of her relatives have said, like, you haven't done anything, like you haven't even talked to detectives or anything. I mean, that's not right, considering everything you've done.
Yeah.
Well, when I posted the emails that I received from the detectives, they told me that I sent those emails to myself.
Yeah,
that's
right.
a good. Yep, because that's what I don't sleep, but I sure got time to email myself and pretend I'm a detective.
And then you just happened to get that press release.
Right.
Well, whoever's accusing you of that sort of stuff, that means that they themselves would do something like that. Because that's crazy.
It's those ego people. I want to be first. I want to have the hotline. It's like, remember, what was his name that worked with Superman at the newspaper, and he always wanted to have that, the scoop?
Superman?
Yeah.
I've never seen Superman.
Is that Clark getting? Well, Clark Kent was Superman.
Yeah, but
remember, it wasn't Johnny Olsen, was it?
Yeah, I worked with Lois and him at the newspaper. Always wanted to have the scoop.
No, but that's really what it's like. Is Kaitlyn has made like this with her story. There's this big stage now, and so these people, some of them want to put Kaitlyn on the stage, but other people want to do their own little tap dance on the stage, and that's what it's like. And it's like,
yes. No. Steve Smith says Olsen. It was Johnny Olsen.
Oh yeah. He had red hair and freckles.
He was the young guy.
Yeah, had a camera around his neck all the time. Not that I'm showing my age. Anybody? Comic books. That's it. That's all.
Not the 1950s TV series.
What?
Absolutely not.
Is it really from the 50s?
Excuse me, no. I
No.
wasn't born in the 80s.
Well, you have the 80s hair. Whew. I love it. No hate. Hello?
Yeah, thanks.
Getting off. Julie M says, "Getting off topic, super folks."
Ask her what topic we need to be on.
There we go.
Well,
Julie seems to know.
Yeah.
I have a topic that I want to bring up at some point, maybe
Well,
in
we're
the
not
broadcast.
right, so bring it up.
Yeah, the floor is yours. Go
Okay.
ahead.
I don't know. You know, it's something that I've been meaning to bring up. And actually, I was thinking about it. Unfortunately, right before I came on, I noticed that y'all were live streaming. And it's a question that I think I want to ask everybody if they have an opinion. All right. The question is this. I mean, with the whole social climate that we have going on, you see all this sort of stuff in the media, dealing with celebrities, politicians, all sort of people, all walks of life, all right, doing things that we probably don't agree with, we probably don't endorse. A lot of times we'll look at these people in the news and we'll say, hey, this person's doing a bad thing. My deal is, what I want to ask everybody is there a line that you can cross? And beyond that line, you have sexual deviation, and there's a divide there. What exactly would be y'all's personal line?
what do you mean? I'm sorry. Like, what do you? I'm confused.
What did you say?
Like for example, all right, people would see an extreme case such as rape. They would say rape is wrong. It's not good. That's a deviation from what is right, which would be the consensual relations. All right. Rape would be a deviation. And there would be a lot of things that would find themselves in the gray area of what would be a deviation. What is acceptable around a society that properly takes care of children the age of Kaitlyn? What is acceptable? What is sexually deviant and what is not sexually deviant in a society that tries to, I guess, create an atmosphere of innocence up to a certain point?
Are you saying like what is acceptable?
Yeah, on a personal level.
Like toward Kaitlyn's age? Like I'm still confused.
Like, say for, yeah, exactly. What's acceptable in our eyes, as seeing we're adults, what would be acceptable to introduce to Kaitlyn, being that her age was 11 or 12?
Hey, Courtney, I don't know if you know, but it shows that you muted yourself. I don't know if that was on purpose or... all you have to do is press the microphone and it will unmute you, by the way. Or did I do that? Did I do that to you? No? I don't know.
Yeah, I see that her voice capability went off.
She might have done it on purpose. Maybe she's doing something.
That's true. She does have kids.
But
well,
yeah,
I think we can all agree that 12 is too young to have any kind of deviant thought, regarding them.
We had country singer James talking to Kaitlyn.
Oh, okay.
And Sky Daddy.
No, I wish that some of the older men.
Yeah, Rod. Country. There hasn't been enough attention put on country singer James.
Or Sky Daddy.
Country singer James?
Or the other guy that would always...
He was on the live streams, right?
What was his name?
Yeah.
There was one guy that was always in there.
He tried to help her. And she would even ask him to stay on with her that the live stream she did on the 28th. He said, I need someone to stay with me tonight. Remember that person?
Oh, Jacob, I think.
So, Gerard,
Jacob.
I have sort of an answer to your question.
Okay.
I feel like if somebody has to hesitate as to whether or not it would be appropriate to be sexual towards somebody, if it wasn't just beyond anxiety, like if, we're all adults, so that would be different. That would just be sheer anxiety. But I'm talking about if you have to hesitate if it is appropriate in every aspect, then you probably shouldn't do it.
Probably
You
shouldn't.
have to do it in hiding or in secret, or if you would be looked down upon for doing it, you probably shouldn't do it.
Probably shouldn't.
Looked down by who?
By the majority, by the masses. And I know that sounds bad to say.
Society?
Yeah.
But if someone is being suicidal like Kaitlyn was, then an older person should come in and start at least trying to give her advice. I don't know.
I thought he meant sexually. I'm just talking about sexually. I thought he was just talking about sexual advances.
There were both.
Crazy train.
You had girls hitting on her, and you had people actually
That was a pretty good crack at it. Does anybody else have an opinion as to where they draw the line? What is sexual deviant
I
and
think
what
that's
isn't?
called moral compass, isn't it?
But that's what I'm saying. Like your moral compass
Well,
is
yeah.
like that subconscious sort of feeling that you have where you have to hesitate. If you have to hesitate, you probably shouldn't do it.
Right, but you're saying for you that's what it is, and I think that's kind of the deal. Is for everyone it must be something different, because there are certainly people who think that things are acceptable that probably I might not think are okay over here.
I don't know.
Very.
That's where I said that they should have to think if they would have to do it in hiding. I have 100% belief that those people would not have done that in public, and that means that they know it was wrong. I don't think they would have done that in front of people, like at a mall, in front of people, in front of their mothers, in front of the world. They felt cozy and safe on their little screen name in that chat room. Bottom line. Would they have done it in front of their friends who would have judged them? No. Unless their friends were also perverts and pedophiles.
Hey, y'all.
Hey, y'all.
Hey, y'all. I want to throw in something controversial a little bit. If y'all ready.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, I'm going to throw in an example because, I was looking for examples, kind of like if anybody has examples to throw out of what maybe they don't find acceptable. Right before I came on the live stream, I was actually I typed in the words gay pride on Google. And it's like anybody could type in just the words gay pride, nothing else. Type in gay pride on Google and then go to the images. Thing is, I'm not here hunting gays and lesbians and stuff, and I'm not trying to call them out or anything like this, but when you do that, if you just type in gay pride, you'll see probably 30% of the images that you'll see are pretty wholesome, full of people with all their clothes on, acting orderly, maybe walking in a march, maybe waving flags. You'll see about 60 to 70% of the pictures will be people just all sort of naked and just, I don't know, glittery, shiny, grinding up on each other. And that would be an example to me of something that is not acceptable and that I personally wouldn't find acceptable at all.
It's really actually kind of funny you say that, because the other day I was when I was writing with Tim, I said I could understand how sometimes these women who do these marches, like the whole point of the march is to show that they should be able to look sexy without being touched and groped and stuff. So I can understand why at those specific marches they might want to show that by looking sexy. I said, but how come at a lot of these gay marches they I just literally exactly what you just said. I said, how come they always are hypersexualized and stuff? Like, what does that have to do with the gay part? But that doesn't have anything to do with Kaitlyn. The way Kaitlyn.
I believe that it does.
Elaborate.
The reason I say this is because I believe that it kind of surrounded her in the way that it surrounds most children in our society. And it does leave a lot of them very depressed.
Oh, no,
Right.
You have a point there.
Well, I just want to throw out, and it is all idealistic. It is very perfect and whimsical, but the ideal for a girl growing up, I think maybe we would all agree, would be to have, of course, both of her biological parents in the house. You know, namely her father. Her father's where she does find a lot of strength and stability and stuff like this. But ideally, I would say her parents, and of course, hardly any of us have experienced this, but ideally, her parents would have been married before having babies. The babies wouldn't have been made out of wedlock and things like this. I bring it up because me personally, um, I've come across the idea of just only having, say, sexual relations for one reason, and that would be to make babies inside of wedlock. Now, like I said, a lot of us have not experienced that, and most of us have not hardly seen that at all. But ideally, that is what you would want to have, because when you don't have that, when you start varying from that in certain ways, all sort of different ways, you're gonna find a lack of stability. The daughter or the son is gonna experience a whole lot of instability when this particular formula is varied away from.
Well, what formula is that?
The formula of, and like I said, this is all my opinion, but it would also be considered bullying. People would definitely consider it bullying when I say that these children are reaching out for love, what you would call love. In my opinion, you get it from God, but the way that you get it successfully, as a general rule, would be through the man who then has the wife. He gives her the love, and the love goes through her to the children, thereby giving them all sort of satisfaction and purpose in their life, a lot of stability. But
Right. Well,
this
Katelyn,
is ideals that I'm referring to.
with Katelyn's live streams, you see for the first time how a um, a young girl is in that kind of bad situation is going to reach out and just try to communicate and get in touch with people and just get people to come into her life so that she can try to ease some of that torment.
Yeah. And there are hundreds and thousands of more parents who are married and they are not healthy people, and the dad is not a healthy dad and the mom's not a healthy mom, and
This is very true.
just because they have that marriage certificate and they're legally married, that does not at all entail anything that
This is
deals with
very true.
stability or security. I mean, sometimes it can, but a lot of times it doesn't. And just because parents are divorced, a lot of attorneys and doctors and teachers and philanthropists, their parents were divorced. So I mean, I don't, yeah, it's ideal, but
Yeah, you guys, I completely agree with what y'all are saying. This is true. I mean, that doesn't happen with all sort of married couples. The thing is, what I want to say is, in lots of ways, I get my opinion from various things that I've read from out of the Bible, but also life experiences, but specifically from out of the Bible. And the thing is about the Bible, it does describe, I don't know, you would say spirits and principalities, perhaps demons. It does describe all these things, which would lead to a destruction of a family unit, which would lead to an instability for children who rely on a family unit.
but it also talks about incest being a normal component of a family.
The Bible actually does not. No,
It
it
does.
doesn't. In which passage does it do this?
I can Google it.
All right, go for it.
It was
No, but
actually
I'm just
common back
saying,
then. Like I'm not.
this way. I mean, as far as families breaking down, when having heterosexual couples and the family still breaks down and it's still not good for the children, I do understand that happens a lot.
Mhm.
Well, anyways, we are veering off a little bit. I mean, that was just my ultimate question. Like, where should we draw the line, especially in regards to our children? What the young children should be exposed to as far as deviation? Because I feel like it really, really played a huge role in in this situation as far as the deviation. That's pretty much it's widespread in our society right now.
Yeah. For me, when you said that it causes like a lot of depression and stuff in girls, I completely agree with you because when I was Kaitlyn's age, that's when I had my male teacher taking his finger on my spaghetti straps in front of the entire class and basically slut shaming me. And I know a lot of people don't think that's a thing, but when you're 12 and you're just wanting to dress like a singer you like, because it was like, oh, Britney Spears wore this top, I'm gonna wear it. And then you have girls spray foaming in your driveway, slut and whore, where everybody can see, and like everybody calling you a slut and a whore because of how you're dressing when you don't know any better, and everybody's calling you a slut and a whore, and you've never even kissed a guy, and like you're 12, like that has, and teachers are also bullying you. Like it does make you start to question yourself, like, am I a whore? Am I a slut? And then it's like, because you're too naive, like you don't even, and so like the sexual stuff, you're automatically sexualized. Like it's like you dress that way because you see other women dressing that way and they get a lot of positive attention, and it's like, ooh, like I remember the first time I put on the sparkly blue tank top when I was Kaitlyn's age, and it was like there were these guys who were in the 8th grade, because my school went from kindergarten to 8th grade, and they would wait for me to walk by them and they would call me Big Booty Kitchen. That was my nickname because my last name is Kitchen. They would say Big Booty Kitchens, and I, just because of all the chaos and trauma at my home, or homes plural because I was living at friends' too, it felt good. It was like, oh, well, these people like me. They like to look at me. Okay, well, I'm going to wear these tight pants again. Well, and like Kaitlyn, a lot of people didn't think I was 12. Like a lot of people don't think she's 12. And like, so I was automatically, that was the only positive attention I got. And these guys were nice to me. I was too naive to realize they only spoke to me. The reason Luke spoke to her, we all know the reason Luke spoke to her. Okay, he wasn't wanting to start a family. It was nothing like that. It was for one reason. But she probably didn't know that. And I never knew that back then at all. And so like it's like a part of you at her age, you like that attention and you don't, and it's like, so you're being called slut, but it's like looking like that gets you positive attention, and you feel like these guys really like you as a person, even though they don't, but you're too naive to know that. And then it's like you're so used to servicing your household that you feel like you have to people please everybody, and so that also ties into it. And it's a whole cycle of, and it is centered around sexuality. A lot of it, you're right.
Sexuality.
Well, okay, sexual deviation. And
that's why that's why we have laws. So that,
yeah, but our laws aren't exactly adequate.
So we can protect young kids from being exposed to that.
But they're not exactly adequate today, currently.
Right. I think they need to improve now that we have Kaitlyn's experience. We can improve a lot of that.
Especially with the internet.
I don't think her family, honestly, and I'm not saying this to insult them, I'm just saying because also I came from her same region, and when I was 12, that's when I moved in with Brandon, and I lived with him till I was 18, and I was 12 and he was 19, and his whole family knew it. My mom knew it. Nobody cared. I never even knew it was illegal because it was like a man was taking care of me, and that's just kind of the norm. And so like I don't think if anything ever happened to Kaitlyn, I still feel like she would be on the SSRIs, still attempting suicides, who God knows what else would be going on with the parents, but I still feel like it would be accepted for her to be talking to these, because y'all heard some
Probably.
Gerard,
yeah.
you don't know what I'm talking about right now, but they do. I spoke to someone today, and apparently Kaitlyn also was talking to other people I had never heard about and in detail, and like, so it was happening a lot, and the parents knew, and nothing was done. Because I'm telling you, like, well, you're from Texas. I don't know how it's like in Texas, but I'm from Tennessee. She was from Georgia. I know it happened in Alabama and Mississippi. It's not uncommon there. So that is a big problem.
So you think the southern states are worse for sexual abuse?
Do what?
the southern states are worse for sexual abuse in the families?
Oh yeah, because the men are a lot of times put on a. It's like, well, first of all, there's this hush hush like sort of dynamic within the family where it's like
we got that over here too.
Oh, okay. So maybe it's just, I don't know. Some families are just like that. My in-laws are like that. Like anything
It's
bad
kind
that
of all
happens.
over.
Huh?
What?
It's kind of an all over the place thing.
Oh yeah, it exists everywhere, but it might be just worse in some areas.
Yeah, it's definitely worse in some places.
Yeah. When you begin to, when a family begins secrecy, because, you know, they always say communication is key, like in romantic relationships. Well, it's also key in family too. And when you start to, like the things that need to be talked about the most, a lot of times families will shove under the carpet. And that's usually why these men and a lot of these women are submissive by nature, like in where I'm from, toward the men. And so these men, that really gives them this feeling of entitlement. And, you know, I was watching a lot of Dr. Phil, which, you know, I don't think of him as like a real doctor, but I was watching a lot of interviews with him, and he was interviewing guys who molested their younger sisters. And some of these guys were like 18, some of them were like 25, some of them were like 50. They all said the same thing. They all said that they just wanted their sexual needs met. And so that was, and that they, in the household, there was a pattern of them all kind of being like like basically their way or the highway. And, you know, I understand like in the Bible, it says the man, you should serve your man, all this, but love is also, it should also be like, respect is like, shouldn't be fear. Like if you fear telling the man no or tattletaling on what the guy did, that's not love. And in these families, that's, you know, it was probably really terrifying for Kaitlyn to tell her mother what's his face did, what Anthony did. She probably had to wait for him to be out of the house.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, it's secrecy. Like children
Yeah.
should be able to be assertive.
The thing is, what I was mentioning earlier is, you know, I believe we can all agree that the legal precedents that we have currently in place right now are not in any way stopping the kind of abuses, the amount of abuses that we're talking about.
They're not, but
Well,
do
it
you
didn't
have like a
Luke
plan?
Callahan.
No, I'm just saying it's like it's important, I think, for everybody to recognize that this is a complaint that we have. We do have legislation on the books, and it is anti-rape, but it's not adequate. It's not serving the purpose that we would like. If our purpose is to dramatically decrease rape and bad things of this nature.
Well, there is AI software that they're developing to determine if
The
someone is
software.
actually online or if pedophiles are hitting on younger people. They could implement that AI.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it is anonymous. Being anonymous is what gives a lot of these people, you know, the fuel to be the pedophiles they are online. Like if they weren't anonymous,
And the bullies.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and that's why there needs to be, and some people
Yes,
laugh,
but
ha, 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 but there needs to be a sort of police force on the internet.
at the same time, I think we would all agree that it's not because they can be anonymous that they choose to be pedophiles.
No, but I don't really care about that. Like, I'm tired of hearing people making, yes, okay.
I'm just saying there would be pedophiles irregardless.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, but I don't care about the whys in the house because honestly, everybody could become a monster and blame it on some trauma. I'm tired of that. A lot of us have been abused. A lot of us have been touched, raped. Like, that is no excuse to become a pedophile. I'm sorry, and I'm tired. There is a difference between being compassionate and making excuses for damaging people irreversibly. I am tired of that because we could all do that if
I
we
agree.
really wanted to. We could all use our traumas as an excuse to harm other people.
Rachel, is that men are just not hardwired to automatically go after women, young girls, and they can't help it. Therefore, they should be excused because of internal hardwiring in their brain.
Wait, who's saying that?
Right.
Well, no, I'm just throwing that out. Some people do say that, but
no one should say that.
True, and I don't think.
I
Well,
feel
people
like,
can say it if they want.
oh, I do feel like a lot of men,
Yeah.
and sadly, even the ones who love Kaitlyn. I feel like a lot of them, if they knew 100% that them touching a little girl would never go noticed and that it could always be hidden, and let's say the little girl was passed out and she would never know, I do feel like a lot of these men would do it. I do. And why? Because of what I've witnessed and experienced growing up. And I'm not saying I'm some big victim. I'm saying what I have noticed with cops, with teachers, with neighbors. It seems like 1 out of every 5 males who's in the presence of a sexy teenager will test the waters when no one's looking. And they can have a cop suit on. They can be a parent. And it is, and misogynists can get angry at me for saying that, but it is usually males. Do what?
In the hospital.
Do what?
Hey, Celeste. Hey,
They
Celeste.
can be a doctor in a hospital administering Prozac.
Mm.
Hey, Celeste.
Sorry, I'm like really heated right now. Mm-hmm.
Celeste.
10-4 on that.
I want to concede that, like, what if you're exactly correct in your assumption that it is 1 out of 5? What if that is true? You're exactly correct. All right, I mean, I guess the thing is, like you said, they go and I mean, it's under the. I guess the situation is if nobody were to find out, like nobody's gonna find out, she's not gonna know, nobody's gonna know, and so, gosh, I'm curious, so I'm gonna do it. It is a peculiar situation. But I would remind everybody who claims to believe in the Bible, it doesn't matter if nobody's watching you. God will always see you irregardless, no matter what.
And you'll have to, if you're not religious, you'll have to live knowing that. But see, I mean, I guess that some people truly in the frontal lobe of their brain, they do not have a guilty conscience. And so a moral compass just goes out the window. And that's where we really have to teach children like Kaitlyn and teens and even some young adults that,
And even old adults.
right, like it's you don't tell people, oh well, there's no fire, just there's no, like, ignore fire. Fire's always going to be there. What you do is you teach people how to stay away from fire or how to deal with fire.
I like it.
And
Right. What you said was correct, Courtney, about the older people. For example, there's a certain person in London who is older, but yet he's
Much
completely unrestrained in some of the comments and some of the stuff he has said on video and other things in the past. And it's like, at what age should some people start learning morality, common decency,
or restraint,
or proper behavior?
It's an interesting question.
And he gives
Well,
he gives gentlemen like y'all a bad name too.
That one
for caring about
named individual. So.
Or when do we start intervening on someone's behalf? Because clearly, if they've reached the adult where they're starting to experience signs of dementia and Alzheimer's, and that's a sad thing. But if they're causing harm to others, sometimes it takes intervention on behalf of other people.
Wait, who has dementia? I'm confused.
I'm saying, like, when someone does. We just can't tolerate that. That mixed with, non-adulting behavior. We have to look out for those people.
Yeah, I mean, I always ask myself, is it causing harm? And if it is, then I do think that's where intervention is needed.
Yeah.
No, the thing of causing harm to a person and actually putting psychological damage into their mind over periods of years, especially in the formative years, like Kaitlyn claimed she was first raped at the age of 4. So who knows what else happened in the next years. And then finally we know what her stepfather did because she had said that on live stream. Well, I can't believe people still blame her for her own suicide. All of that injury was being done to her. And I think it reached a point where she couldn't put a halt to her suicidal ideation.
Oh, she was literally screaming out. and nobody cared.
Yeah, but so many people online blame her, and that's just reprehensible. I mean, I just can't.
Just ignorance.
They always say the
haven't
same
done
thing.
enough research. They don't know.
They say in a way it was homicidal what she did because they knew that she would be killing those who loved her also while doing that. But the thing is, what these people don't understand is that she already felt like she'd been killed by these people. She already felt dead on the inside.
Would never kill those people. Yeah, of course she's going to vent, maybe once or twice on what that cloud or whatever she did, or I don't know. But I mean, come on, that was just some venting comments that she did. She never would have killed anybody. She didn't have the character for it. She had a wonderful, beautiful personality. She never would have done something like that.
Even when she left, she was nothing but apologetic and humble and loving. There was no revenge in her voice. It wasn't like, look what I'm going to do because of you. It was, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I'm sorry you have to see this. I mean, even then.
Broken.
Yeah. I think those people are just ignorant to depression or
all of it. They have no understanding. Maybe they need to study for about a year. Like
so that's a whole other thing I think the world needs to understand and move its collective mind into.
What did you say, Gerard?
I was just gonna say, perhaps a great deal of us are ignorant to depression, on like the origins of depression.
Well, it always has varying origins.
Yeah. No, but I mean,
like anything, if we're ignorant, then we can't judge.
Right. I think the people who blame Kaitlyn, it's like their only way of being able to rationalize that a 12-year-old can do that. Like they have no other way.
That comes, like I was saying earlier, that comes from them and their history and their family and the way they were raised and all of their luggage and their background and who they bring with them. All of those invisible people, the grandmother, the grandfather, all those people that have passed on, that were part of raising up that person that is in their world. Everybody deals with, we are so different in every way. A lot of us have a lot of things that are common, but so many of us are so different. And to say that, someone can point the finger and say exactly what, their judgment is on someone, nobody was living her life every day. I mean, even for us to get a glimpse of live streams for about a 30-day period, can you imagine how much there is that we didn't see?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That goes back to the assumptions.
What?
I'd love to be able to go back and look at the Akashic record and look at everything.
Hey, y'all.
And there are also those 20 live streams that were deleted.
Oh, yeah. Those need to be recovered.
Did the company delete those?
Well, I don't know. We don't know who deleted them. But the police department is saying that the reason that they haven't done any data recovery on the cell phone is because of a funding issue. And when
we're taking care of.
Sorry?
Which we're planning to take care of.
Right. Because when I called, and this was like weeks ago, but then there was the holiday break and all this, but when I called, they said that the nearest place that does data recovery was in Atlanta, and they said it would be about $5,000 to be able to recover all of the text messages from Kaitlyn's phone, all of the live streams, all of the messages on LiveMe, all of the messenger messages, all of the emails, all of the photos and videos exchanged, etc., which could be like a huge, that could who knows. And so we're really hoping that Polk County can have some sort of event or fundraiser or something, or that maybe all of us in the groups, because I mean, considering how many thousands are in the groups, everybody just donated $1 and it went to the.
Yeah, we need to start.
Exactly.
What?
Start a GoFundMe just for that specific purpose.
Where would the dollars go?
Because I don't want
pay
people to question that
for
we're
the phone to be analyzed. Can you believe it? Got to pay for justice.
For attorneys and stuff like this. Yeah.
I don't know why though. They have her phone. Like, what are they just staring at it? Like they need, like, that was the whole point of them getting it.
It's a lot of
They don't
interesting quirks.
There's a lot to do with that phone. I'll tell you that.
Well, computer
Yeah.
forensics is a big deal nowadays, and it has helped bust many cases. And we know that she had interactions with Luke and Anthony and who knows else right before she stormed out of that trailer. She looked really angry and like she had just gotten done with a really bad exchange. And because Kaitlyn was usually super positive, even in times when most people wouldn't be. And so it's obvious somebody said something to her.
Well, we know Luke did for sure.
Yeah.
Do we know where that phone is right now?
It's at the Doesn't the detective have it, Courtney?
Yep.
Hey,
It's still in police evidence.
y'all.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask you, and y'all already know how I feel about justice. I want justice to come for sure. The thing is, I want to ask y'all, how many people out there think that, I mean, because y'all are saying that hypothetically there could be evidence on phones and this and that, but hypothetically there might not be.
Mm-hmm.
So how many people actually really believe somebody's going to get arrested from the Kaitlyn situation?
It's not even about an arrest, though. It's about stuff being put out there. It's just about
truth.
Right.
I feel like we're all succeeding already, and we've had a lot of success as far as putting it out there.
Not for everyone.
It hasn't been enough.
Kaitlyn was all about exposing people.
Yeah. Exposés.
Yeah.
There's more coming.
Yeah. All right, and so that's working. It's just when people, it's almost like you're going off into the weeds discussing like paying attorneys to find out this and that. What if they find nothing? And how come they haven't found anything yet?
That's impossible.
Is it impossible to find nothing?
Kaitlyn was getting in trouble with her phone, and that's been confirmed because she was caught sending certain things. That's been confirmed. She deleted many things because she didn't want them to see. That's been confirmed. These were overage men. That's been confirmed. So all of that right there alone could be covered, on top of the messages that her family might have sent her that were damaging.
So who gets arrested? Like, what happens?
Well, it's not even about an arrest. I mean, we do live in a country that's, guilty or innocent until proven guilty. It's not even about that. It's just exposure. Kaitlyn was all about exposure.
It's to
I
save
agree.
the next kid. It's to save your neighbor's kid.
Right. It puts fear in somebody else. Like, someone else might think twice. Like, oh, well, they can actually recover that. Well,
I
maybe
didn't know they could
be a
trace
pervert
that and go into the phones. And I mean, my thing is that there's a Kaitlyn in every neighborhood right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There is.
And what is anybody doing about it?
What can we do?
It would make people think twice. That exposure would make people think twice.
What exposure? Of like new details coming out?
No, of people being busted for either telling her to kill herself or
arrested.
Do what?
Are you saying busted and arrested?
No, I'm just saying being noticed for the horrible person
called on it.
Right.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, some people I think are already 100%. Like, I think everybody would agree Luke Callahan is definitely 100% guilty. Anthony Lee Rogers definitely 100%. Everybody else, they're kind of like in a different percentage of how guilty they seem.
Are you talking about the grown men who knew she was 12 and they were macking on her?
Yeah, but there could have been more people out there doing the same things, feeling the same ways and stuff, and we can't arrest all these people. We don't have evidence against everybody.
It's not about arresting them. These people chose to be anonymous for a reason, and they get away with it because they're anonymous. And if they got their names released, it's not even about having their hands in cuffs. It's about having their, it's just like how a sex offender can be free, but they still have to deal with the public knowing that they're a sex offender.
Well,
I would like to know country singer James's last name, for example, and a little more about him as to why 60-year-old man is online with a 12-year-old girl saying the things he was saying, how cute and beautiful she was all the time.
Yeah, and Sky Daddy,
Exactly.
Google his thing. He still has a little Google Plus profile. He's a pilot, and he's constantly talking to young girls about modeling and stuff. And I've commented on his stuff and been like, called him a perv and stuff. And he still lives perfectly fine. These people, some of them don't even have to be fully anonymous. They can be semi-anonymous, and they still don't have to worry about being called out. And this is, the internet is the real world. Sometimes it's more real than the real world. We were talking about that earlier, how people in Katelyn's family who try to say, y'all didn't know her, we knew her. Well, guess what? She came out more online. Her personality did. Like, so just because you're sitting in a den with somebody doesn't mean that you're going to fully know them. The internet is a real world. And so these people who are perverts on this internet world, it is another world. There needs to be more monitoring of this.
Monitoring?
Yes.
By who?
By whom? The same way that if they were to do that in a public grocery store, they would be in trouble. That's how.
Who's monitoring it?
The same people that would monitor behavior like that in a public place, like police force.
Yeah, and the thing is, they do already do that, but the thing
Not
is,
online.
they can't.
Not
No,
online.
not online. Online would be much, much too expansive
No, it
for
wouldn't.
that.
You
I
could
mean,
use
when you consider the numbers
Maybe
of
right
people
now we put it
online,
that way because it's not a mainstream thing.
what is it? The
Regular
online predator defense?
if you want to call it that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do hear about groups like this, these online predator catching groups, like, the
I'm not
kind
talking
that
about them.
I have seen, like, to include the guy who's on television, but I've seen other groups who actually, I mean, they do make arrests and things.
They're all over YouTube.
They
Yeah,
don't
there's some, they're growing in number. They're growing in number, and the thing is human. Lots of times, it's humans volunteering to do this.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who've branched off the Katelyn community
Right?
to do it.
because
The
we have
thing is,
daughters and cousins and grandkids and stuff who could be Katelyn.
definitely. But the thing is, the trouble I get is with the AI technology and the trigger words and this and that. This and that word shouldn't be said on the internet. Just because there's gonna be pedophiles and predators, irregardless of the internet.
Yeah, but
And
prevention.
we should find them.
I mean, that's like saying, well, people are still going to drink and drive, so therefore we shouldn't have any laws about it.
I think we should hire more people to catch predators.
Well, yeah, I mean, that goes hand in hand.
Yeah, but I mean, you need enough people. You'd imagine whatever amount of people we advocate for doing that right now, or allocate to do that right now, maybe double it, maybe quadruple that many people.
Heck yeah. The more the better, always, for something like
Well,
that.
where do we go to do this? Where do we go to make sure that the government quadruples that many people? Because we understand that it's a very big problem. In fact, it's probably the biggest problem in our nation.
The government inhibit the freedom of speech. But then once that the AI detects that there could be a pedophile who is preying on, say, a little girl, then a human reviewer could look at that and see if that actually happened.
Yeah, I understand what you mean, but it still would be, you'd be taking in a lot of course, a lot of what the AI would catch would be language that's not inappropriate or maybe it's not illegal. It would be catching a lot of stuff.
Then that wouldn't matter.
I mean, people would have to review it anyways. Like a human being would have to review it either way.
So like the guys in Katelyn's chat who would just simply say something like, how are you today? You look pretty today. Somebody might say, oh, they're calling her pretty and they're an older guy. Well, legally that wouldn't matter. But the ones who were saying, show me your tits. Why don't you put on a skirt? Bend over. There's really no, I mean, unless they're going to lie and say, well, I asked her to bend over to pick up a pencil or some bull. I mean, there's really anything, the law could be anything that alludes to I mean, unless someone is like mentally deficient and they want to plead insane, if they want to act like they're mentally insane, then I mean,
Yeah.
I know it's an emotional subject. Courtney is asking to wrap the live stream up.
I'm just saying that it's getting really late and we're like going
It
down
is.
rabbit
I think
trails. We could be
I
doing
think we did a good job.
Yeah, we could do this like every night of the week.
Yeah, we covered a lot.
There's probably something that we should have talked about Katelyn.
I agree.
We'll think about it later and have more of these.
As soon as we turn it off, we'll think about it all. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Definitely
read all the
one on
comments
February
from
20th.
our wonderful fellow supporters, the people just like us who love Katelyn.
Well, yeah, in closing, all I would like to say is that, Katelyn, we all love you and we wish you were here.
Yes.
It's so true.
All right. Okay. Whoever's in charge of signing off, I suppose they can.
That would be Celeste.
So I'm just smiling at what Ian said. Yeah, I mean, it's December 30th and the year flew by faster than any previous year. And I do attribute that to meeting Katelyn and just nonstop being able to think about her and what could have been, should have been, could have been, should have been, would have been. And she won't ever be forgotten, even if certain people want that to be the case. And I'm excited for her siblings to learn about her when they get older. And yeah. And if you watched the stream and you don't know anything about Katelyn, then if you just type her name in, there are tons of live streams that she has on YouTube, and just get to know her and you'll see what we mean. And yeah, if anybody else has anything they want to say.
That was good.
No, great job, everybody.
Yo, that was good. I just want to say, anybody, y'all holler at me on this Hangout thing. Holler at me. Let me know what's up.
Yeah, God, I feel like there's so much more I want to say about Katelyn. It's like
It's going to be a lot more.
I mean,
Yeah.
We'll be updating soon, I'm sure.
We should.
yes. God, I guess I just wish that she knew. I just wish that there was a way that she could know how much people love her is all. But yeah, so good night all, and I'm going to stop the broadcast unless somebody else wants to say something. No? Okay, well, I'm going to go eat my hummus. So I'm going to turn this off now. Bye.